Hey guys, welcome back to the Detour podcast. I'm your host, Dan Jones, joined as always, four-time national road champion from Australia, Johnny Trevorrow, Olympic gold medalist and Olympic winter Olympic commentator, Scott McGrory. Fellas, we're normally on the dot. We're very particular about timing, but we're 6:31 because John has spent the last minute ribbing our special guest, Tim Decker, about his lighting. Since when are you getting on the front foot about quality control, John?
Oh, I'm sick of getting a whack from you all the time, so I thought I'd give someone else a whack for a change.
Now, before we bring Tim on, Scooter, it's been a big couple of weeks for you, mate. You've obviously been rubbing shoulders with the elite commentary team in Australian sport. We're talking like the likes of Hamish McLaughlin and the crew and, Stephen Bradbury. How was it?
Oh, mate, it was great. I really did enjoy it. I've wanted to do the Winter Olympics. I'm a big fan of winter sports, and I'm a skier and, lived in Europe, watched a lot of Eurosport. And there's our gold medalist, Jayco Anthony. So it was nice to meet her as well. These photos in the future will look a bit strange because we're all masked up. And that's my daughter. Maddie? So that's she's still to become famous, but that's down the track. But yeah, Maddie came down and joined me in the studio and sat in with the commentary, put the headphones on and listened to the producer talking to me and barking instructions. And so great little experience. Is
Maddie wanting to go into media?
Yeah, she was thinking about considering going to uni and doing communications and TV. Mm-hmm. So the goal was during the Tokyo Olympics to have her, because, cat out of the bag, we did the commentary out of Melbourne for both the Tokyo Olympics and the winters in Beijing. And I was hopeful of having her come down and just sit in the studio sit near the director and in the control room and just see how TV is made. And for an event as big as the Olympics, you can imagine how special that would be. COVID ruined all of that last year during the Tokyo Games and almost did the same this time for the winters. They wouldn't let her go into the control room. I did show it to her, but she didn't get to sit in there and actually watch the way TV is put together. But she was allowed to come into the commentary booth with Steve Bradbury and I. So, and we have
that would have been a buzz.
Yeah, it was cool. We have three commentators' boxes. So she was able to put a set of headphones on, put her microphone on mute, so she didn't say anything. But she could just listen to the commentary, and as I said, listen to the producer talking to us about what's coming up, what to do, when to stop, what to pause. She's had that sort of insight that normally a uni student wouldn't get until they were further into a course, perhaps.
The main thing is, you as a commentator, you want to just do enough to get the gig for the next one. Do you think you've done enough to get the call back?
I think so. You never know. So the TV industry, the way it works in this role is there's very little praise. I may have mentioned this before.
No
news
do the
is job.
Good news.
Yeah, but no news is good news because especially with the Olympics, right? So you finished your job commentating for me, speed skating. Everybody else in there is already on to the next thing. And they've already been onto it for a while because they were getting ready for when we stopped. So there's no instant feedback, that's for sure. And occasionally, you'll talk to some of the bosses and they'll say, oh, mate, loving what's going on with the speed skating. The ratings have been good. They increased the number of events that I was to commentate. And they also had me commentating on my own a few times originally. And then they changed that and got Steve Bradbury, negotiated with him to come in and do some more with me, which meant, that they were happy, and the ratings were showing that speed skating at the time of night. That it was
I'll give you a thumbs up, Scotty. I thought you did a great job. So if you want
Thanks,
Hey, that's huge. You. That is huge. Now, John does not like to lay praise on yourself or me. And if he's giving you 2 thumbs up, and it's much like this show, John. If I don't call you afterwards, it was a good show. No news is good news.
He likes to lay it on us in other ways, normally. The thing with speed skating, guys, is once I got into it, and look, there were a couple of times I called the skaters riders, and then I'd go to call them riders and then have to correct myself. Old habits, die hard. But it's so similar to track cycling. And the last day we had the mass start. I don't know if you guys saw the mass start race. It's a scratch race on the track. Exactly the same. Yeah, it was really good breakaway attempts.
Well, that's a good segue. Track cycling. John, introduction for our special guest, Tim Decker.
Well, Timmy Decker, Decker, he's getting called everything.
I called him Timmy Dicker before. That was a faux pas.
Timmy Decker is one of our great coaches. He's been the Australian Olympic coach for the last two games, and he was, I think, development coach at 2012 as well. So very involved in the progression of Australian cycling. There he is, great photo there with the boys, and been super successful. I saw him at the finish line of the Warrnambool on Saturday, and he raced in the Masters Warnie, so he's still pretty fit. Remembering he won the actual elite Warrnambool not that many years back, so he's been a pretty handy bike rider himself. But he punctured in the Masters Warnie on Saturday. Wasn't happy about that.
So he's got an iffy story.
Got an iffy story, and it was won by former head of Australian cycling. Stephen
Drake.
Stephen Drake, legend, what a ride! Rode clear
on by Steve.
Yeah,
Steve's.
He's that big a legend. You forgot his name.
Stephen Bradbury. Oh no, the other one. Yeah. So anyway, Timmy, legend himself, great coach, but he's moving on. So we
got breaking news, Johnny.
Well, we know that he has left Cycling Australia and signed on with another country, but I reckon we're going to break the news today. Well, I know. I'm going to tell it.
Well,
anyway.
Take it away, John. Open up the batting. Here's Tim Decker. Welcome to the Detour.
You blokes have an issue with last names, don't you?
Yes. That's right.
Really struggling there.
We do.
Anyway,
we're hopeless at the best of times. Don't worry about
that. I'm glad you moved on from the Dicker and got to the Decker. Much better.
better than the Dakar.
Dakar, yeah.
I watched that. It's a great rally. The Dakar rally. It's fantastic.
Good rally, that.
So, Timmy, what? We know that you're going overseas. We know you're going to another country to coach. How did it all come about?
No, but hang on. Are we going to announce where it is? Can I drum roll?
We are. We're going to do that. We're going to do a drum roll. All right, Timmy, where are you going?
Oh, geez. Pressure straight up.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll be moving on to coach the track endurance program and be the lead coach there for male and female. In China.
Winner is China. There you go.
Yeah, I didn't think Australians were welcome in there at the moment, but obviously you've managed to smooth some waters. Maybe you should give our Prime Minister a call and just give him a little, bit of a pep talk on how best to deal with China. I reckon, that'd be a really good idea, but. Anyway, that's up to you, mate.
Yeah, no, I don't want to get involved in that.
Yeah, no. John started hot, and then he starts to taper off. He'll come back at about the 30-minute mark.
Yeah, let's get back.
Yeah, that's right. But, mate, it's obviously been a big story today. I saw a break on Cycling News and Cycling Central. And, Scooter, you know more about this because it was about the report that went into Tokyo and what happened with the equipment, and people wanted answers. What was the fallout or the recommendations from that report, Scooter?
Oh, look, you say I know more about it. It's only that I was on the call today when Marnie Fechner, the CEO, just made the announcement that they had done and completed the report and come up with their findings. I haven't read the report, but I just know that they've gone through that whole process. And I have learned a lot from it. And there was some of the journalists threw some interesting ones at them. They wanted to know how much the report cost and was it just a waste of money? Which Marnie said absolutely not. They're trying to improve on everything, and having to go through this process, as uncomfortable as it was still great for learning what to do and what not to do going forward. We're only in a 3-year cycle now into the next Olympic Games, so we have to get it right really quickly to avoid these sorts of things happening again. And look, you had two, very well-regarded brand names in Bastion bikes that were involved in making the product, and also Argon 18 that made the frames. And both of those companies got a little bit of scarring through all of this. So I think all three parties, Oz Cycling, Bastion and Argon, are really keen to get to the bottom of it completely and make sure that it doesn't happen again. Because look, in the end, Tim was heavily affected by this personally, and obviously Alex and all the riders. So last thing anybody wanted to see happen was is the riders themselves and the coaching staff get affected by it.
And I'm sure, Tim, you have read the report. So what did it say?
I have. Oh, it's a long report, so I don't want to take up too much time on it. But look, the reality of this, and a bit like what Scott said, this is about progression and moving forward. So out of this, the biggest not challenge, but the biggest learning for everyone is how to move forward and not see a repeat of this. Because look, you wouldn't wish something like this to happen to your worst enemy, to be honest. Those 3 days of team pursuing competition was one of the biggest challenges in my coaching career, and one of the biggest challenges for the athletes as well. And for them to come away with a bronze medal, and I won't go into all the detail that was going on behind the scenes, but for them to keep fighting back and show that it wasn't over till the finish, it's sort of a mantra that we've worked to over the years, and it come into full play at the Olympic Games, and that bronze medal felt like a gold medal by the end of the 3 days for those guys, and I was so proud of how they handled themselves.
Scooter?
Yeah, it's a tough one, isn't it, mate? Because it's almost like there are probably external sources that just want someone to be held accountable. A mistake was made, however, whatever. And there's this sort of, I guess, a group or people that just want someone to be held accountable for it because of, the end result was such a tragic thing. But mistakes happen. These things are a process. So I don't think there's certainly nothing untoward into any of this, and it really is just a very steep learning curve, I think, for everybody that's gone through it. Yeah. One of the things that was thrown up by one of the journalists today, which is unfortunate, was the question that apparently there'd been some rumours that the crash in 2016, before the Rio Olympic Games, a couple of days before, when the women's team pursuit team crashed in training, that there's a rumour out there now that was caused by a broken handlebar back then in 2016, which, I'm sure you can confirm, as I know, I was there as well. It was simply a touch of wheels in training, and that's it. So it's really unfortunate that off the back of last year's incident, now somehow this rumour has started to get around, and even Marnie Fechner admitted that she had heard that rumour as well. So this is the kind of stuff you want to avoid. It's ridiculous that's even popped up, Tim.
Yeah, that needs to be squashed straight away. And I was inside the Olympic velodrome that day, and that crash wasn't caused by a break of handlebar. That was crashed by a touch of wheels in a hit out effort. And unfortunate, but these things happen.
Are you printing documents, Tim?
Not me, my wife is. I'm like trying to say, not right now.
Just a quick one. I was just going to say, I can see, even just from the photos that we're digging up, that there is such a strong bond between you and the athlete. And a lot of talk about, culture within Australian cycling and that. How much of this is about chemistry to get performance, and how do you build that chemistry when you're in this high performance environment?
Well, I think that it's a bit twofold in regards to, in the report, it talks around culture, and then there's, culture within your group and the group you work with day in, day out. So, in the report, the culture was more around the way that staff work, and i.e. recordings, processes, procedures, and that sort of stuff. And then there's, the culture that I really focused on was inside the training group, and, with the guys and the girls a lot. We used to do a lot of training together in the sessions, and I spent more time with those athletes than what I did with my family. For a good 8 to 12 years, just about. So, culture is one of those things that you're living every day, and we had a really, really tight bond and belief in each other, and that's what helps get athletes to the a level that they dream of. But also sometimes athletes doubt themselves as well. So you've got to eliminate that doubt, and without good culture in your group, that can be a stopping point, I guess.
Iffy?
Yeah, I was just going to add into that. What came out of that Olympics for me was the way they fought back. As you said, Timmy, the bronze medal seemed like a gold medal. You went in as one of the favourites. It was really going to be close. And then that first race, that crash was so severe. You virtually lost your starting man. He did one more ride, but he wasn't the same person. So everything got changed. And the way they just held themselves, we were all proud, and I know you were. So that's the main thing to come out of it. Now, I want to now get to what brought on this decision. What made you think you needed to move on? What was the catalyst to that?
Oh, look, it's not just about moving on, but it's about myself as a coach wanting to keep improving as well. And so I've been through a couple of Olympic cycles. Had a lot of experience with all different styles of athletes. And look, I never probably had a dream of coaching elsewhere, but there was an opportunity put to me, which is actually quite exciting, and it'll be a bigger role. So, the challenge of overseeing male and female track endurance. At the moment, China hasn't competed except for the lady that competed at the Olympic Games in the Omnium. They haven't competed across the board at any UCI events for quite some time now. They don't currently have any UCI points on the track calendar, except for the one lady that competed in the Omnium at the Olympics. So she still has her points from the Olympics. So it's a real clean slate, and it's a build, and so that excites me. China is probably the sleeping giant potentially of cycling, so be really good to see if I can have an impact in that area. And when I think about that, I think about the world of cycling, and if I can have an impact to make them more competitive across the world of cycling, then that's better for everybody. It might create another bit of competition for Australia, but to be the best, you got to beat the best, and we should never be afraid of that, and should always be wanting to. There's a couple of sayings. Yes, you can only beat the opponents that are in the race, but then also you want to beat the best in the world. And so this is a real opportunity to build something from where they're currently at, and set up a really good foundation for them for the future.
So one of the things I was going to say, I've really enjoyed Timmy's coaching style, and one of the things he realised very early on, that the bay crits are very important to everything.
Here we go.
We always start
milking this cow till it bleeds, John.
He start the year with it. He always put his elite team into the bay crits, the men and the women. Fantastic. So my question is, now that you're are you going to bring the Chinese over for the bay crits, Timmy?
Oh yeah, you bet. Yep.
Well, there you go. You might get a clip of the ticket, Johnny.
Might be
more budget.
Yeah, send us some invitations, Johnny.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it.
But we don't operate in the we can't operate in the iffy mode. We'll have to be right on it.
Prepayment. Is that where you're going?
Hey, Timmy, how have your group, how have the riders, how have they taken the decision?
Well, I'd like to think they've taken it just as hard as me. I mean, this wasn't a light-hearted decision. Let me tell you that. Those boys, yeah, they've been part of my life. Yep, and very, very tough decision. But I look at where they're positioned now. We'll get some plugs in here, but you got Cal O'Brien in the BikeExchange team now, so turned to World Tour, and Plappy's set up at Ineos, and Sam's in DSM, and a couple of the younger guys like Jensen Plowright at FDJ with Miles Scottson and Pat Eddy's in DSM as well. So they're just starting another journey at the moment, and really need to set their sights on establishing themselves in that pro peloton, and really making a foundation for their career, so that they're set up for the next 10 or 15 years. And look, I hope they still compete in track, but whether that's straight away or later on in their career, that'll be up to them and their decision, I guess.
Now, we're going to bring in now another guy that knows something or two about building culture, and that's Matthew White, head DS for BikeExchange Jayco. Whitey, we were just chatting with Timmy then about he's made the move. He's going over to China. He's had a lot of connection and a lot of results for Australian cycling. But we could just hear in the voice just before the answer, how connected you become with riders and their journey and all that sort of stuff. What are the keys to building sort of that culture to get success? And you must connect when you do make a change. You go to different teams. You would have had that when you left Garmin and went to Green Edge.
Yeah, I suppose the job of a good coach is to have buy-in, and have buy-in. You've got to have a relationship with your athletes, and because you are part of the journey, you are taking them on that journey with you guys, with you. So Timmy's done an incredible job over a long period of time, and it will be a big loss to Australian cycling. And I certainly wish him all the best in his adventures there. But he has created a really good culture, and now, like he said, we're a professional. Those guys are taking the next step into their professional road career, and now it's our job to continue their development on the road side of things. And I do hope as well that they do go back to the track. Like Tim said, maybe it's world titles, maybe it's the Olympic Games, wherever it may be. But the foundation is there because of what Timmy's set up over the last 8 to 10 years.
Iffy?
I was going to say, you've had a little bit to do with racing in China. You've taken the team over there, and you're also involved with a development team in China. What tips have you got for Timmy about his first trip over to China?
Deep fried.
I remember the breakfast was the same as dinner when we were at Tour of Beijing, and I'm like, hang on, what's going on here? I don't eat squid at breakfast, but there's definitely some cultural things that you have to adjust to, particularly around food.
Oh, it'll be a great. I think it'll be a great experience. And Timmy, you're going to be able to we're having a bit of a chat there at Down Under in January. You're going to bring over some of the team to prepare in Australia before in periods during the year as well.
Yeah, that is the plan. I mean, be ideal to be in Australia during the summer, and there's a lot of racing now that you can, dig your heels into, and I reckon be good to get them exposed in some racing outside of China. So yeah, it'd be really good to be here and mix the road racing with some of the track racing that they have here as well through that summer period. And I feel that would help make a bit of a step. So start bridging the gap for them to be a bit more competitive when it comes to Track Nations Cups and Asian Games and World Championships and that sort of stuff. So.
Scooter?
What's Tim? What's this first step? So what happens now? You made the announcement. It's been brewing for some time now. What's the next step? When do you go over there and what do you think? What are you expecting for this first sort of month or two?
Yeah, I've got a bit of a plan mapped out so far. So leaving on Sunday, providing I pick up my visa tomorrow. So providing that's all fine. Leave on Sunday.
You printed it off, so you should be sweet.
Yeah. Yeah, just forged it. No.
Sounds like an easy story.
Yeah.
John just emailed it through to me.
That's it. 200 cash.
No, it's starting next year's bakery.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
No, look, leave on Sunday, and then have 3 weeks quarantine. So that'll be challenging to kick it off.
3 weeks.
3 weeks. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yep.
That's making sure that you are crystal clear, ready to rock.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll have to sling you a hard drive full of movies, mate.
Yeah. I'll be able to watch some more detour podcasts and all that sort of stuff. Why not? Don't worry. I'll have a watt bike in there. I'll spend some time filling in some hours riding my bike as well. But no, I'll be I'll leave Sunday, be there Sunday night, 3 weeks quarantine. The time zone's not so different. It's only 2.5 hours, so I'll be doing some work throughout the days. Starting to work through a bit of an athlete list. And then the day I get out of quarantine or the day after, there's a competition, a local competition, track competition that I'll go and watch. That goes for 4 or 5 days. And, after that, then I'll head to Beijing, so where the base is in Beijing, for a week. And then about 2 weeks after that, they've got their track nationals. So,
how many tracks do they have in China, Timmy?
From what I know, they've got 9 indoor tracks, and then they've got an endless list of outdoor tracks. So I'll plan on checking out all the indoor tracks, definitely. Just to look at the ways we might, where we might do preparations. So that'll be a good venture as well.
And if they've got a juicy budget, that Bay Crits will definitely happen. You'll be staying on the penthouse there on the water at Geelong. Don't worry about that, mate. You get whatever you need.
Hey, March Labor Day long weekend in Victoria for the Bendigo Madison as well, no doubt.
Yeah,
that's right.
No doubt.
Yeah. Hey, Whitey, got a question for you, Whitey, about because we talk about the Tim's track guys, and now you've got you've got a couple in there, but with Kel O'Brien now. Is it easier? It's probably perhaps a bit different for you because of the way the team started and your Australian background. But is Elia Viviani, Filippo Garner, Consoni, are these guys, or even Wiggins and Geraint Thomas? But has it been made a bit easier lately to allow trackies to cross over back and forth? Because for a while there, it was impossible. You had to make a big decision and give up the track. But with these guys and the results they've had, both on the road and on the track recently, does that make it more favourable for guys like Kel O'Brien to switch back and forth in your eyes?
Yeah, it certainly is. And when you look at the Italian team, three of their four team distributors are well-established road riders. So I don't understand the mechanics of how they're chopping and changing so efficiently, but if the Italians can do it, anyone can do it. It's even the Danes. The Danes were doing a good job. We've also got in our team from New Zealand, who's the Omnium silver medalist at the Olympics. So it's definitely possible. I think what's making it possible is probably the amount of road days that they don't do. So the guys are not racing. Most guys are racing between 60 and 75 race days a year. So there's a lot more periodization where they can go away and go to a track camp, come back and get back stuck back into the road again. So I think it is a lot easier to transition in and out of road and track than it was 10 years ago.
All right. Well, we're going to take a quick drinks break, but Iffy, I'll just have a quick yap on the River and Ranges plan. You've sent a private message. What's all that about?
Well, just before this, we started the podcast, I had a little meeting with Sissy Hosking and Johnny Beresford up here at Nagambie, and we're working on a master plan. I thought, well, we've got the boys here because they all know how great this region is for cycling. So we're working on, there's just so many hidden gems. So a master plan for this, for the Goulburn River and ranges. So it's a cycling master plan. And so what we're doing, we're talking about, I'll get this thing up here.
Sponsored by the Chinese track program.
Well, it's about competition. It's about having some fantastic races in the area.
We could get some more Michelin wine to China. This could be a contra.
But there are so many wonderful cycling routes around here. You go off into the Strathbogie Ranges here, and you get some of the amazing gravel rides, which is something special. And it's all only 90 minutes away from, actually probably an hour from the western suburbs of Melbourne, or northern suburbs of Melbourne, and it's just a wonderful place with all with so much to see and do in the area. So many great little, of course, Middleton wines and places like that. But Nagambie is just one part of it. Seymour, all the area around there. Just amazing. So we're working on this new little plan. So you guys have all raced here, Sun Tours and other races. What are your thoughts on this wonderful region? Well, I've got all three of you.
Too hilly.
Too hilly.
All right, it's off. It's off. The Rivers and Ranges is done.
Johnny, question to you. Does that include, and this would be for Tim to bring the Chinese riders out as well, Kerwin's Bridge? You could do some skills training across Kerwin's Bridge.
Well, we can ask Whitey about that. Whitey had to go at it. Whitey had to go at it. He didn't go too well, if I remember rightly, Whitey.
Yeah, well, better explain to the viewers and the listeners what Kerwin's Bridge is. It's quite a long wooden bridge, what we call in Australia a picket plank bridge. And if you can ride across that on your own without going over the handlebars, then you're doing pretty well.
It is the best picket plank bridge I've ever seen, or worse,
whichever you want to put it.
Why don't you let Whitey tell the story?
It's about 500
Get to the story, John. It's not about you. Back to Whitey.
It does bends. Anyway.
Okay, Matt, can you please tell us a funny story to cover up that waffle?
We're on a training camp there in December training camp, staying at Nagambie, and we just went for a bit of a ride. And I thought I'd join the lads. And so there was about 30 of us on a ride there, and we came up to that bridge. And I didn't know the bridge. I have ridden over a few picket plank bridges over the years, but nothing quite that long. And so back in I didn't know the state of the bridge, and it's pretty bloody bad. And so I attempted to set off over the bridge there. I don't ride them too much anymore. And I got around about halfway through, maybe not even halfway through, and my front wheel went down a very big crack and went straight to the fork. And went straight over the bars, landed on my wrist, thought I broke my wrist. And then, anyway, that hurt. Got up there, and then I heard this another kunk, and there was like four or five of the team went down on the same bridge. I think I had to go. What would have been the closest hospital to there? Shepparton.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I had to go to Shepparton Hospital, get the old wrist checked out. But I've never seen a picket plank bridge in that state. That's all. Thanks.
Yeah. All right. Well, it's time for a quick drinks break. We're going to be back with more from Tim Decker and Matt White. Stay tuned.
Look at this bike. You think it's just a bike, right? But it's not. It's a bike. 374 people are looking at. This guy, this girl, them, all looking at it. People from here, there, and wherever this is. People that are looking for a bike. Or just a piece of it. Amateurs, semi-amateurs, and pro-amateurs. This guy wants this bike, but with this crank and these bars. This could be the perfect match. but not this one. This girl has a bike to sell, and thousands of people might purchase it. Eyes on Bikes help grow small businesses. His, hers, yours, and the latest data and insights help those businesses keep moving. We are the world's #1 bike marketplace, with over 500,000 products and 900 brands, where buyers and sellers are brought together in a place where bike is never just a bike. BikeExchange, where the world buys, sells, learns, and rides.
Are you dreaming of the ultimate cycling holiday? Mumu Cycling is the best in the business. Official tour operators for all Grand Tours and monuments, you will ride the best climbs. Enjoy VIP access and race viewing, all hosted by some of the world's best pros, including 17-time Tour de France rider and Paris-Roubaix champion Stuart O'Grady. Start planning your ultimate holiday at www.mumucycling.com.
Thanks again to Bike Exchange and Mumu Cycling. Now, if he update with Mumu, have we sold those 2 tickets to the Classics? Because they should snap up, given that they'll be rubbing shoulders with the likes of Eddie Merckx, Tom Boonen, the hitters, Frank Schleck.
Well, I'd jump in now. So Marcel Berger, the leader of Mumu, hasn't come back to me to tell me where those 2 spots have gone. There were people talking to him. So at this stage, get in there while you can. Still 2 places, and as you know, we spoke last Tuesday. Some of the guests who will be there for those classics are Eddie Merckx, one of the Slecks. We haven't worked out which one it is yet. Tom Boonen, Johan Museu. I mean, not just say hello, have a coffee with them and have a talk with them. And it's a very small group, guaranteed 2 places available. So
I saw Whitey in the promo. Are you going to do the Classics, Whitey? Can we help push these 2 tickets or what?
Mate, I am not. I'm going to take the second best place to watch those Classics, and that's behind the television. I'm my program's a little bit different this year. I'm going to do Pays Basque and another race in Spain with the Giro group. So I won't be at the only Classic I'll be at this year is Milan San Remo.
Oh, what a classic!
Right.
And
So
the
we
Giro,
better.
if they can get into the Giro, because you're going to be headlining the All-Star cast.
Yeah, so we're doing there's 2 separate trips to the Giro. So the first week, starting in Budapest, going to be sensational. And I've never been to Budapest, so I'm looking forward to it. So 3 days in Hungary, fly down to Sicily, and then we've got 3 days in Sicily, including the amazing Mount Etna. So it's going to be something special. Small group.
Yeah, now I remember traveling with Whitey, and Giro was your race, wasn't it? That was the one that you really loved because it was all about the big Parmigiana wheels. When they brought those wheels out, your face would light up like a Christmas tree.
Not Parmigiana, the cheese wheels you're talking.
No Parmigiana wheels we used to get. Remember, we'd stab them and just get little bits off, and it was that fresh stuff.
Really?
Some big bits. That is one of the motivating factors that I do. I am very up and about when we get on the Italian shores. But no, the Giro, it's very. I've been to the last. I don't think I've missed one for about 15 years, but I really do love the race. It's a different style of race, and as a team, we've had a lot of success there over the years, and we plan on having some more this year with Simon Yates.
Well, if he's backed him in to win, he's not biased though. He calls it as he sees it. He never just aligns himself to Jerry's team.
I never do. I only say what I think honestly, and I believe he can win. Look, we know, that it's something. It's like almost a thorn in his shoe. He's twice been in the winning position and just hasn't come together. And I know.
Well, that's passionate. The cue for the video that you sent me, just to show that you're not biased.
Oh yes. There you go.
Yeah. So this was what's this from, John?
So Shane Bannon just sent it through. Yeah, stage finish where Simon won the stage.
Yep.
And here he goes. Yep.
Fantastic.
I can't remember what stage. Yeah,
yep.
Sensational. and
Awesome.
see how passionate. Well, you didn't. It was a lovely piece where Jerry where Jerry gets to Simon. And for those listening on the podcast, you've got no idea what's happening here.
No. He's got some pace. Jerry has taken off like one of his thoroughbreds.
Exactly. I got my Lexus Bay Crit, so I was carrying a couple of pounds there. I know.
It's like a Americane in the final straight at Flemington. And there he goes. He's floating around the outside. He wants to get in for that classic owner hug, and there it is. That's as good as it gets.
Pretty special.
Yeah. So hoping to replicate that, obviously, Whitey, come the Giro this year. How's all the prep? I mean, it's too early in the season to make any sort of big statements, but everything good at the moment?
Yeah, Simon had his first race last week in Vuelta a Andalucía. He was 5th on GC, got better day by day, and now he's got 10 days at home, and then we're gonna hit Paris-Nice actually. So the first time I don't go to Tirano, so we're gonna go to Paris-Nice. Yeah, you heard it live,
mate. That was your race.
Oh, that and the Giro, mate. That's me two favourites. But we've got some pretty big fish to fry at Paris-Nice. We're going there with Simon and Dylan Groenewegen. So we've got a big squad lining up there Sunday week, and it'll be his first big test of the year. And after that, he goes home for a week and then does Catalonia. So he was good. He was good. He's had a incident-free winter. Got a really good base behind him, and he's starting to turn the screws now for what's coming up. And there's been a lot of teams affected by COVID over here the last month. I don't know if it's because of the charter flights involved in some of the races or the hotel situation. I honestly don't know, and no one can give you that answer. But the teams across the board have been really hard. We had more positives in the last couple of weeks than we have had in the last 2 years. I think in the positive side there is that it was nearly impossible to avoid, and all of our guys, no one actually got sick, which has been good, or really sick, and they're all on the mend. But I know that across all the World Tour teams and people have been scrambling. Now you're not hearing about it because you're only hearing about the high profile guys who have gone positive. But touch wood, most of our key guys have stayed healthy over this last month. But let's hope we're over the hump now, and as the weather starts to get warmer and cases start to drop, that teams are less affected, because it has really been a big juggling act over the last 6 to 8 weeks, managing athletes and staff who've been coming down positive.
Scooter?
You guys may have covered this on an earlier podcast, but just Dylan Groenewegen, Whitey, how did that come about? Because it seemed like it was a pretty last-minute thing.
It was
successful.
It was, mate. So he was under contract with Jumbo Visma for 2 more years, and they sat down with him at the end of the season and they went through his race program, and they made it clear to him that while Primož Roglič was in the team, they would be targeting general classification at the Tour, and that there would be no spot for a sprinter. So Dylan's had a pretty up and down year and a half before that. He's at the prime of his career, and he thought, well, I've missed 2 Tour de France's, the last 2 Tour de France's, and that's coming from a guy who's won 4 stages already, and he wanted to do the Tour. And a couple of connections were put in place, and then he spoke with Jumbo about the opportunity for them to let him off his contract so he could go chase his dream of winning at the Tour. And he's had a great relationship with Jumbo. I think he was there for 8 years. He had only ridden for one other team in his whole career, and they let him out of his contract, and he landed on our laps. And it's been a very, very good pickup, and one that it will be a game changer for us for this season, or for the next 3 seasons.
I'll tell you, he's smart. Just before we butt in, he knows about how to celebrate a sprint, because he's highlighted Jayco, and if you do that, you're a mate with Jerry for life. That is going straight to the pool room. So, chapeau. That is just textbook.
Good on you. At least I put my hand up. I was doing the right thing. You can't help yourself.
Yeah,
but anyway,
threw in a zinger.
I was going to ask you, Whitey. There were 2 great wins that he had last week, but this week they've had the lead-out team has looked fantastic. It's very strong. They almost seem to be getting together a fraction too early. I wanted to get your thoughts on where they've been, because they've looked really strong in the coming up 2K to go, but just haven't been able to quite get it together. What's the issues?
Oh, look, they're working through it. I think the bigger it's a strange race, UAE. For example, the first stage there where Dylan got caught on the right-hand barricades, there wasn't a single corner for 55 kilometres. And so it was a pretty negative race. There was a lot of headwind. And everyone out there, except for about 20 riders, is a big bloke who's participating in the sprints. And no team really got that first sprint right. I think there's a couple of different styles to run those trains. Obviously, the bigger the train is, the more complicated it is to get it right. And then also, Luca Mezget's, he has a certain style of lead outs as well. So they've been experimenting with a couple of different ways to do it. I know there's a very big sprint day on today, but today and tomorrow are the last two sprint stages for UAE. So I wouldn't be surprised if we change our tact a little bit for these next two stages coming up. I think we've tried to come from behind and come behind with numbers, but it's always messy to get five guys through when you try to do it like that, especially when you don't have key corners or the race has been that hard. But it's a work in progress, and we've got some horsepower out there. We've got, like I said, a couple of world-class track riders, Kel O'Brien, Campbell Stewart, and then some other guys in front, Caden Groves in front of, and Luca Mezget's all in front of Dylan. So we've got the horsepower, and I'll be really curious to see how they nail it today.
Guys, we need to mention the live comments. Chris Blockley, morning, boys. How are you, mate? Fitness Cycling says, do you think cyclocross should be in the Winter Olympics, Scott?
No, I don't.
Okay, moving on.
Well, it's in the winter, but it's not like all of the Winter Olympic sports require snow or ice, and you don't require snow or ice for cyclocross. You have it sometimes, but it's not a requirement. So no, it's not a Winter Olympic sport.
All right, we'll tune up your questions, Fitness Cycling, for the next time. LinkedIn user says, have I missed the big announcement? Yes, you did. Tim Deck is going to the Chinese track program, and he's going to start at the Bay Crits next year on a massive sponsorship deal. Jamie Finch says, great work on the pod recently, guys. There's been some great guests recently. Ask Timmy about the puncher that ruined his Port Campbell to Warrnambool. We did mention that earlier, but have you got any other insights, Timmy? Have you gotten over it?
Oh, I don't think the person I yelled at will get over it for a little while.
What, he sticks up in your tyre or what?
Tax?
No, just no. There was a guy just in front of me. We were working up the line, and no one pointed the rock out, and I just T-boned the rock and had a big tyre blowout. So that was a bit average. Then tried to change the wheel and jump in with the scratch markers, but missed them by about 10 seconds.
Ian Thomas, he's a regular. He says, congrats on your new position, Tim. It'll be interesting to see the improvements by Paris. Let's hope your team will be good, but not too good. Australia for the win. Do you have expectations on what you think would be a really good result by Paris?
Well, of course, I have expectations, and as does China. But one of the biggest goals. So this is really a long-term vision for them. So one of the biggest goals for Paris is to qualify in every endurance event. So that'll be a big challenge. One, because there's Madison, Omnium, and Team Pursuit, and then they have goals around Asian Games and events like that as well. So probably events that you don't hear about quite as much, but they're actually quite prestigious throughout that region, and certainly helps set athletes up for life if they, it's a real game changer for athletes if they win gold medals at Asian Games and that sort of stuff. So, so by Paris, I mean, the first goal is to qualify China in every event for the endurance program, and then on top of that, we'll be seeing how competitive we can get in trying to win a medal.
I've got a comment, another one. Samantha says, Scott, I loved your commentary at the Winter Olympics. I've learned so much about Jumbo and its speed skating team. Did I hear you say that Fabian Cancellara did speed skating?
No, Fabian's name came up a few times with skaters that had him as their sporting hero.
Okay.
And Steve Bradbury, he was going through to pick out anyone. Peter Sagan was one. Anyone that had a cyclist as a sporting hero, he'd always bring it up for the connection with me and cycling. So yeah. But he would have been a good speed skater, big, powerful man for sure.
Nicholas Bird, great guests, guys. Well done. And Annette Miller, Whitey, great rides last night by Damo and Luke Platt. Damo 5th on the stage as well, I think.
Yeah, well, it certainly was. It was probably the best ride we've seen Damien Howson doing a World Tour event. Really good, amongst very good company. Long climb, and I think they do it again on the last stage, maybe even twice. I'm not sure, but there's not too many options in the UAE for climbs, but it has been done before. But it's a really good ride, and Luke Plapp played a really good support role as well for the likes of for Adam Yates, who finished second on the stage.
And Seb Berwick was 14th, I think. So youngster from Queensland that's riding for the Israeli team. So he's starting to find his legs as well.
Yeah, I did notice him up there. Darryl Impey looking after him on the bottom slopes of the climb there. No, he did a really good ride.
Now, one thing we haven't touched on, Tim, is one thing we like talking to guests about is how you overcome adversity and, pass on some tips for the viewers. Now, doing a bit of research, you obviously had a major setback, with your health back in 2014. You were hospitalized there for a bit. Was it a crash that, led to, was it a hemorrhage in the brain? Can you explain to viewers or listeners, what actually happened and what were the lessons that you sort of took out of that, massive crossroad moment, I guess, in your life?
2019, actually, Dan, do your research. He did have one in about 2014 as well, but the big one, 2019, was the recent one. But
they were both big.
Yeah, they're both big. Hang on, we'll start with 14 and go along. Right? Yeah, hang on.
2014 and 2019. So I've had two brain hemorrhages. Yeah, both from bike accidents. Yep.
So did that change your perspective on life, mate? And what were the things that you learned from coming through that?
Ooh, geez, they're heavy, aren't they? Heavy.
Yeah, we flip it up on the show. We go light and then we just go
yeah, boom.
Yeah.
Oh, look, I wouldn't say it changed my perspective on life, but it makes you appreciate it even more and the opportunities that you get along the way. But, one of the things that also did, and this was more after the 2019 accident. So, the first one was in 2014. I was out riding with Glenn O'Shea and Scotty Sunderland. And this is when Scotty was crossing over to be an enduro, and I said, "Oh, we're up in the hills," and I said, "Oh, have you ever been down the corkscrew, Scotty?" He's like, "No, I haven't been down there yet." I said, "Rightio, follow me." And so I thought, "Oh, I better go reasonably quick so that they they don't think I'm an old fool going slow." And so I'm ripping around a few corners and then get on the straight bit of the corkscrew, and there was a change in road. So, not change in surface, but there was like this little lip in the change of road, and hit that at about 75 k an hour, and my front wheel just exploded and collapsed underneath me. And I tumbled over the bars and, had a bit of lost a bit of sense and that sort of stuff. And of course, it was the first day of the school holidays, and I'd promised to do a lot with the family. So, stubborn me thinks that I'm going to ride home, my front wheels in tatters, and Glenn and Scott are like going, "Tim, you need to just sit down because you got no idea what you're doing." But that was after that accident, I was just very determined to get back to full health and, play on and show that, regardless of setbacks, you can make good comebacks, or it's really a mindset thing that keeps you driven. But actually, after the second one, which was another bike accident, and that was caused by some people not pointing out rocks, and about 5 people who fell off in front of me. And I had nowhere to go. I thought I was going to jump over the guy, and I started bunny hopping over him, but his bike flipped up and hit my bike mid-air, hit me head. Again, got up, thought I was going to ride home, and I was in another planet, apparently. The second one was I had to really make a choice, and the choice was someone's home. Don't worry about the the printing. Someone's home.
That's fine, mate.
So the choice was, sit on the couch and do nothing, or actually get off my backside and get on with life. Because that was two knocks to the old noggin, which is probably full of concrete now, people tell me. But it was a lot tougher that second time, and you talk about being close to your family and your athletes and that sort of stuff, and my inspiration of getting my backside off the couch was built around showing my family that no matter what happens, you got to get up and do it again, and doing that also with the athletes. I'm an Olympic coach, and set my standards pretty high, so I couldn't dare let the guys and the girls know that I was suffering. So got off the couch and got motivated again, and got fit and healthy, which is an important part to my my regime or what I like to do, and just got stuck back into it and motivated for the Olympics and just living.
That's when I realised just how tough you are, Timmy, because that was end of October, I think, in 2019, where you made a mess of yourself, in hospital, all those things. You'd already entered the team in the Bay Crits, of course, and you turned up at the Bay Crits. Oh, that was amazing. Scars everywhere, whatever, and we looked after you. But your first event, the Bay Crits, so.
It was.
The fact that you were at the Bay Crits,
you're a legend,
John. That was it. Now, fellas, we've gone almost an hour. We could talk for obviously 90 minutes plus. In summary, Scooter, Iffy, what do you want to ask the boys to wrap things up?
Timmy, can I say, sorry, Johnny, Tim, what do you see? And having, I know that your predecessor from the Aussie team did do a stint in China, and we've had a couple of other coaches that have gone over as well. Either from what you've learned from them or what your own expectations, what do you think the biggest challenge is with coaching the Chinese program? And because they've got, obviously an incredible number of athletes, but haven't been able to put it together to get successes on the world cycling scene. So what is it? What do you think? What's the toughest challenge you got?
Communication.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I can nail the communication, and build the relationships, then that will help build the trust and the respect between each other, which is super important. I know that is so valuable for them, and it also is for me. And if we can nail that, then anything's possible.
Does that mean you have to learn Mandarin and brush things up there?
No, I've got a 24/7 interpreter.
Translator.
Yeah.
Make sure you can trust them first and foremost.
Yeah. Well, that's number one, isn't it?
That's right.
Whitey, I'll let that one go. Timmy, great to have you on. I'll go with Whitey. An exciting year popping up. Like Dan said before, I believe that Simon Yates can win the Giro. But I noticed Because one of his challenges, of course, is time trialing. And I know they're all real wrapped in the giant bikes, and that's going to have a big input. But I noticed that his brother has really stepped up his time trial. Did a great time trial 2 days ago. So how's Simon going in his time trial path?
Oh,
The unfortunate thing.
sorry,
That's
mate.
it, mate.
No, you're back on. Your audio just cut out there.
The unfortunate thing these days, Johnny, is the amount of time trialing that the guys don't have. So he's only going to get one time trial in before the Giro, and that'll be at Paris-Nice. And it's a short one. I think off the top of my head, it's like 13 kilometres. And then even in the Giro itself, it's the smallest amount of time trialing kilometres since 1960. So it wasn't too long ago that 30, 40K PTs were all to go in the Grand Tours, and it certainly has come off a little bit depending on which Grand Tour you go to. But no, he's good. He's good, mate. He has actually won the time trial in Paris-Nice in the past. So he's been working on his time trialing. It's not as big a factor as the Tour de France this year. We doubt him he's getting ready for, but no, he can do a very solid one when needed.
All right. Well, it's been fantastic having you on, Tim. Fantastic insights, mate. And we wish you all the best with your new role over there in China. And we hope you get through those 21 days quarantine without any stress. I'm sure you will get that Watt bike. And Whitey, you've obviously been a regular on the Detour, and particularly at the Grand Tours, mate. And whenever we get you on, the fans absolutely love it. And that goes to you as well. Scooter, you're a regular on the Detour. We appreciate that as well, mate. And Iffy, just make sure that you keep polishing up that delivery, buddy.
Tweak it.
Yeah, and make sure youtube.com/the Detour podcast. Like, share, subscribe. Thanks, fellas. Thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll see you again next week,
Thanks.
Thursday, 6:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. Till then, take it easy.
This is the winning ride on the Tour de France.